Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the beautiful surrounds of the Grasshoppers Rugby Club. Picture perfect weather for day 2 of the London Invite, and we've got some mixed division action for you into the semi-finals, and we have GB taking on the European Club Champions Deep Space. Benji Reese back with you in the booth. Delighted to be joined by another new face to the commentary booth this weekend, the wonderful Anna Inosevic. Morning,
Hello,
Nos.
everyone. Thanks so much for having me, Benji.
How are you feeling? Nervous? Excited?
I'm a little bit nervous. I am partially sitting in the sunlight and I did not have time to put on sunscreen this morning. We had a beautiful 9 a.m. start in the women's division.
I mean, who scheduled the women's division for 2 9 a.m. starts? That's the patriarchy
That's
for you.
a really great question, and I would love to have it answered so that we can have like a nice, calm discussion about it.
At least you get an early finish, I guess.
Yeah, I get to watch the games with a pint in hand.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, that's really kind. Thank you. Somebody's just come by with a little Nivea sun protection.
You can take the man out of Australia, I guess, but he knows. It's, yeah, beautiful conditions, so almost perfect ultimate weather.
I would argue it's a little bit hot.
Especially, I guess, on the on this artificial surface as well, where
Yeah.
that rubber does kind of absorb and radiate the heat back out. We're not quite fiery pitch of Mordor levels yet.
Not yet.
But it does get quite hot out there. We have the Deep Space in white and GB in the blue. These two sides matched up in the pool yesterday, and GB took home a tight 12-10 lead, where Deep Space got off to an early start, and then GB kind of found a way back into it. And
broke early.
yeah, it hasn't really been a great start in any game so far offensively for Great Britain, and I'm sure that is something that they will want to be cleaning up, is getting those offense out to fast starts.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it looks like they are going to start with an O-line out there on the field, and Ali Thomas has the disc to pull.
Yep, let's see if they can crack it this time. We've got a strong line coming out. Do you rattle off the names here, Benji?
Let's see, we've got Helen Thompson going to Kat Pope. Looks like 4 female matching players at this point.
Yep.
As indicated by Ali Thomas pulling, with the kind of the prescribed puller rule that seems so obvious now that you wonder why we never did it before.
That's Josh Briggs sending it to Swilson.
And then Agnew dishing it back into the centre. Briggs to Kwan.
Kwan number 1, as they say.
Do they?
I have heard that before, yes.
Okay, I'll note that one down, thank you.
No worries.
Wilson downfield.
That's a brilliant run through from Kate Gibson.
Such a switched on player is Gibson. Being marked by Taylor, but resetting instead to Potter.
Pick called.
Potter is a part of the GB Mixed training squad and was playing with them at Windmill last week, so both sides will be abundantly familiar with each other's game, as one of Deep Space's captains, Phil Sandwell, has to take an injury sub.
Unfortunate.
Not quite sure precisely what happened there, but they'll bring on Duncan Rowe as a replacement.
Let's see if Deep Space can put it in.
Nice leading break throw to Thomas. Into the centre. Deep Space's D-line going to work. Resetting to Rowe.
Alex Thacker moving from the front.
She's a real engine for them downfield.
She
Moss
is.
just about avoiding the clutches of Briggs.
Beautiful
and Potter,
lateral from Potter.
yeah, up the line.
Not a lot of movement.
Still count got to be rising, zipping it downfield. Gibson. Can they force the way over? Oh my word! Slinging and zinging the hammer towards the break side to the big man, Ian Tate. And again, GB Mixed. Their offense doesn't...
Starting by getting broken.
Yeah, every game so far this weekend, their O-line started by getting broken, which is a most unwelcome statistic.
But all the more fuel to bring back into the rest of the game.
I was going to say, I was a little bit surprised that this shot went up. I don't think I was expecting it, because that hammer was released so vertically, but there is clearly the space for it, and with there's scarcely any wind, it's very tempting to put those overheads up.
It's a vertical hammer for a vertical man.
Yep, you know what? He's
Ian Tate, what does he stand? 6'6".
That's
coming from the man himself. So probably 6'5" then.
Yeah, anyone who's that tall, I just look at, there's like, oh, how tall are you? At least a foot taller than I am. call. That's all I need to know. Anything more than that is just rubbing it in.
How tall are you, Benji?
5'4". And proud.
And proud, as you should be.
Right, it's one of those things people be like, oh, like sometimes people will make height jokes and they're like, is that all right? And I'm like, sure it is. It's not a surprise to me that I am not tall. It's not like
That's not fresh news.
It's not like I expected to be like, oh no, I didn't realise.
GB mixed D-line missing Carla and Alice this weekend. Which is some big players to not have on the line.
Yeah, Alice is still rehabbing from an Achilles injury, and Carla Link, I think, has fractured a bone in her hand.
Oh, it's really unfortunate.
Andy,
really big flat forces.
Andy Turner, I think, picked up a knock to his collarbone yesterday, so it remains to be seen whether he's going to give it a go today or whether they're just going to maybe play things a little bit more safely. Hodgett.
A lot of handler movement coming behind the flat forces. And that is back to deep space. Yeah,
just the throw, swinging to Thompson from Agnew, rose and was not reeled in. On the far sideline, trying to get it to break into space. Zipping the inside now, Rowe. Continuing. Millard to the end zone. Snatched in by Naden, and deep space have got off to a red-hot start in this one. 2 breaks right off the bat to take a 2-0 lead.
Very impressive.
GB giving themselves some early adversity to fight through, which, bold strategy. Let's see if it pays off.
Yep. Let's see if they walk back on or call a timeout.
If we
give the O-line a break.
Think back to the game they played yesterday, the showcase in the evening against the Barramundis. They gave up 2 breaks to start, and then they crossed the D-line over to play offense, and they were able to get the job done.
Yep.
And it looks like they're going with the same strategy here.
Let's see if it works a treat twice.
So who have we got out there? We've got
Bailey Melvin Tang, Andy Lewis,
Tom
Callum,
Bennett, Callum Spears, Nick Williams,
Becky Thompson,
and Freya Lenton on the near side, I think, as well.
That's right.
And that's a D-line that is certainly more than capable of moving the disc when they need to. Although I will say that when the D-line did get the disc defensively yesterday, they struggled to move it at times.
It's not easy being on the D-line.
No, it's weird because you know that you're not necessarily going to get too much time on disc, and it's how are you making sure that you're keeping those disc skills sharp. Tate's pull.
Yep.
Fielded by Spears. And the first pass centres to Thompson. Out into space for Lewis.
Great
with
grab.
Sandwell on his back.
Great option from Freya. Not taken.
Lewis again putting it out into space for Thompson. Fakes downfield. Saville sits off on the mark, and Lewis comes under and rolls the wrist around it to Williams. Shooting, macked into the centre, into Lewis's hands. Do you want to say the line?
Gotta catch your D's.
Gotta catch your D's. See?
Steven Schmillard is a D machine, but gotta hold on to him.
Yeah, it counts for nothing if it ends up in the opposition's hands anyway.
Especially when this team is a group of such talented players who are going to be heads up and taking what they can.
That one looking for Williams just pops up, and Sandwell in the back just to make sure, although he didn't need to. There it is, a huge piece on it, rising high, slapped it, and right into Lewis's hands in the centre. I bet probably couldn't quite believe his luck.
Came up so high, it had all that time to come back down and get re-caught. Let's see if the D-line can play some D.
You'd expect so, especially going against deep space D-line themselves, but deep space have yet to surrender the disc. Tipped again by Saville, and Tate coming over Williams. Thomas to the floor, but they keep it up. Sandwell. Back to Thomas, swinging wide. Millard. Maybe looking for a scoring shot instead, back to Gibson.
Really nice movement, changing that angle of attack.
And then Millard blading to the end zone, a really awkward catch, but the big man Tate, great feat for a big man getting down low. Another deep space break, 3-0. This has been the most ominous of starts for the national side.
They really know who to look for in that end zone, don't they?
Yeah, funny that.
And it feels like they give the open side half a second. They're really comfortable taking the shots on the break, which is very impressive.
Yeah, here's Tate going up over the top of Williams, who looked like had very good position, but unfortunately you cannot teach tall.
They were very evenly matched up there, I will say that.
And then this from Millard is...
could have been flatter.
Yeah,
They got the job done.
it's spicy.
Yeah.
We'll call it spicy and move on. I think I probably would like to call it something a little bit bluer, but the timeout here, I think, maybe one of the most obvious timeout calls I've ever seen. Certainly, it feels like GB need to get their heads together and regroup.
Yeah.
If you're in this position, what's being said in that huddle?
I have never captained in my life.
What would you expect a captain to say to you in that case?
That's a good point. I really should have that replayed in my head. But I've also never played GB, so maybe they're casting some special spells in there.
Hey, at this point, it feels like they need some sort of witchcraft, because it's been tough going for GB. And you look at the talent there, and you feel like, how on earth do they keep digging themselves into holes?
They're both relying on very strong players coming off with difficult receptions, and it feels like Deep Space are just pulling it off a little bit better. Throws aren't popping up. Catches are feeling safe.
Can you take like a full couple of points?
Great Britain putting the O-line back out there, having given them a little bit of a breather.
I wonder if it'll be a nice pull play.
I think almost certainly they'll have something drawn up, and it wouldn't surprise me to see Deep Space come out with some sort of, if not, maybe not a full-on zone, a way of trying to gum up any initial pull plays.
What zones do Deep Space play usually?
That's a very good question, to which I cannot immediately recall.
Doesn't look like a zone to me.
No, it does seem like a...
They feel comfortable in their match, and it's been working.
Yeah, it has certainly been generating the turn, so not necessarily feeling the need to switch. Nice break there from Agnew to Kwon, who continues to Briggs.
Back to Kwon in the centre.
Yeah.
And pick gold.
You can see exactly how that would have occurred with just a little bit of a blob there in the centre.
Yeah. It is hot out there. I can imagine how clearing is not the cleanest.
Kwon on the reach.
Great centering.
Agnew looking downfield, sitting the blade up there for Briggs. Thought about going back to Agnew on the return. Sneaking it through to Wilson. Thompson. Surveying her options, popping it in front of Briggs.
Still not in.
Yeah, that line has caught a few people out this weekend. But Briggs just bouncing it back
First score
with
on the
Hanson.
board.
And that is going to be such a relief for GB. Not necessarily at their fluid and fluent best there, but able to grind out the possession and put in the hard yards, take the fundamentals, and eventually get their reward.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got to be happy with starting to get back on track. Let's just see if they can keep that momentum going.
You see that Archer just kind of sitting to maybe stop the aggressive break throw, and Hanson, to her credit, recognises that and provides that little option, almost just like just being like the wall of the squash court. Like, I'm just going to stand here and essentially let you bounce it off me in for the score.
The end zone does look so much better when it's controlled and they've got fewer options going on, and they're very clearly signalled. I think they've had an undesirable number of turnovers in the end zone, just from a lot happening at the same time. A bit of a chaotic feeling. It's tight space in there, isn't it?
Yeah, there's certainly when you get into the red zone and that kind of final area of the field, space really is at a premium, and I think that's why we've seen Deep Space maybe go with those zippier overheads to the break side, trying to take advantage of those gaps before they close. First time we're seeing Deep Space's O-line out there on the field.
Yeah.
And given that it's 15 minutes since the game started, you wonder if they're going to come in a little bit cold, which you do see on occasion. Sarah Hawkyard.
To Layla.
Yeah, being matched up by Ruth Taylor. Squires in the centre. Has the swing to Caudron. Looking for the inside.
Brilliant intercept from Freya.
Yeah, read that one like a book.
She's a very intelligent player. Incredible pitch awareness.
Yeah, you wonder if maybe the look was slightly telegraphed because Lenton had the pattern down pat. GB's D-line just resetting around the back while they try and get something cooking downfield. Thompson clears through. Still rising.
The downfield options feel far away.
That one rising over the top of Lenton.
And back to deep space.
And Deep Space are going to give it right back.
Unfortunate for Van Zyl.
Yeah, the throwing error is a bit of an aberration from her hand.
That might have been the first time she's touched the disc all game.
And we did say that you come in a little bit cold so late into the game that, you know, you are just lacking a little bit of disc time, which as an O-line is a rarity. Lewis looking for the hammer to space. Layla Denniston could see it as well, and Ogden had no chance with Denniston getting into that space nice and early.
Read it from a mile away.
Yeah.
When they reset that disc so far backwards, the stack is just miles away.
Yeah, it feels like if you're going to do that, you need to, you know, run those handler weaving patterns, because otherwise, as you mentioned, everything is so disconnected.
Got to get it moving again.
And because as well the cut developed from so far away, it meant Denniston had plenty of time to step in there. And Denniston was going to watch it sail over her head, but well snagged with her offhand. And now gunning it down that far sideline.
Wow.
Defender thought she had position, but apparently not.
That's 4-1.
Deep Space, not a clean hold, but Amy Fansal able to recover her earlier error and box out in the end zone for the score.
Layla lefty.
She is. Gunning that lefty flick down that far sideline. It's
very disciplined throw.
It's tough as well because, you know, when you're going towards that sideline, you can't afford to leave it too far out in front, of course, because then obviously your receiver's waiting to get it in bounds while the defender, under no such restrictions, can just go out and take it away. But got the perfect edge on it. And Fun Sale collects the rewards.
Gets that visor back on. There's a lot of sun here today.
I'm glad that visors are coming back. I always thought it was a good look.
Very important to be sun smart.
Yeah, I mean, I live in an area where it rains all the time, so I can't exactly comment. But you know, you're from sunnier climes, so I back it. I back you.
I am.
Whereabouts?
There's nothing worse than losing a nice reception to a bit of sunlight in the eyes.
Whereabouts in Aussie are you from?
From Melbourne.
I see.
Yep. Kwan taking off deep, doesn't come. Disc is reset.
Briggs and Agnew just working around the back, and then Taylor zips away underneath.
Taylor pretty much always has 3 to 5 yards on her defender. It's just a question of, can the handler hit her in time?
Pretty much. Feels like GB moving the disc earlier in still counts now. The offense getting to a little bit of rhythm. Taylor on the far sideline.
Great center.
You're getting the lateral space. Briggs popping to Wilson. Briggs once more. Agnew gets the upline space in front of his fellow Scott Tate. And then utilising the edge to take it beyond the defender.
It's a really great away cut.
Yep. Into Kwan's arms for 4-2.
That's 2 successes for the O-line. And this was clean, I believe.
It was clean indeed. And, you know, GB you know, again, as we've said, you know, there is such talent out there on the O-line that, you know, they should be able to make it work. But yeah, their slow starts are certainly a problem that will cause them some consternation.
I'm seeing very safe options from them. A lot of swings around, a lot of open unders. I want to see if they can pull off some deeps.
Yeah, maybe stretch that offense a little bit more, because
some longer throws.
They absolutely have the throwers and the receivers.
And I think they need to prove themselves to be capable of utilizing that space.
It just really
so
opens up your offense.
Yeah, so that the defenders respect it on the other team.
Otherwise, you will get them clamping down on those unders.
Yeah.
Agnew not perfect in the early going, but it feels like he's just warming himself up a little bit now.
Oh, I bet he's warm. I bet they're all warm.
Oh, yeah, to be fair. It is wonderful conditions. The wind just whispering, maybe a little bit more than a whisper, but is coming across roughly from left to right and behind the camera.
I believe it was very similar last year. I remember the finals being just looking like they're taking place in an oven last year at London Invite.
That rings a bell. Great pull that Caudron's forced to field at the back of our own end zone.
Yeah, that was brilliant. A big slash from Alvaro.
Such an underrated aspect of the game. Itamendi with a rising stall, recognises it, plays to Hawkyard.
That's a great find.
Now the leading pass to Squires for the score. It got bogged down into a high stall count, but Itamendi found the option, and Hawkyard with no hesitation, the catch, the throw, and the score to Squires.
I think GB might have been trying to poach a little bit to slow things down. And it did slow them down for a couple of seconds.
It's always nice to be able to, to find those options, keep that vision aware late into the stall count. And this is a lovely leading throw.
Brilliant float.
Slicing it down the center of the field.
And a very sensible celebration from Max Squires.
That's what I think about when I think about Max. How sensible he is.
That's the first word that comes to mind.
Old sensible Squires, we call him. Mild Max.
Mild Max. But then if you break him, you'll see him Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah, it feels like D-Space have certainly been on the warpath early on in this game, building an early 5-2 advantage.
Is that a mixed G? No, that's the GBO line coming out again.
Yeah, Pope taking a second to set herself as she picks up. Briggs.
Oh, there we go.
There's the deep option that you called for. Agnew rips it down with two defenders there, and then finds Wilson for the score.
Just a perfect read from the man.
Yeah, Briggs and Agnew, that connection just continues, I think, to improve as they get more and more time out there on the pitch together. The flick.
Looking off Ellie Taylor under. Too boring.
Yeah, the throw to Taylor absolutely could have gone, but that's a tricky catch from Agnew because he's craning back ever so slightly, bending that back, but then he's got the one-on-one in the end zone. And
Sam Wilson was there for the backup as well, if Agnew didn't get up in time, which you have to really appreciate in a teammate.
Yeah, Wilson's one of those players who, I mean, you could tell for a long time that, you know, the potential ceiling for him as a player was sky high. It was just a question of how well he continued to develop. But he, you know, first time the senior action out last year at EUC, and yeah, you could tell that he absolutely belonged at this level.
Yeah, the best thing about Sam Wilson is that he really can be anywhere at any time. He moves as his heart desires. Teleports, you could almost say.
And he's a player who is such a great fit for GB Mix because he's played the bulk of his, you know, club ultimate in the mixed division with Reading. So, at home in this format.
Some great match D from GB Mixed.
Forcing the swing to Denniston.
That's a brilliant match D from Freya Lenton.
Yeah, it felt like there was only a narrow chance of Hansale getting it.
Bailey coming off with a niggle. Oh. I apologise, that is not the primary injury.
No, I'm trying to work out who that is away from the disc. Itamendi, maybe?
No, I think it's Squires.
It is Squires, you're right.
Did he? Let's have a look. Oh.
Did he just get his cleat stuck in the turf slightly?
I think maybe he got cleated. Looks like he's limping a little bit.
You all right, Max? Did you get cleated?
Hill's going to come on to match up against Ogden.
A collision that has caused a little bit of ankle damage for Max Squires.
Hopefully nothing too serious.
We'll see if he'll be able to come back on. There's not a lot that can hold him back. Man loves a disc.
Checked back. And
The
Spears.
injury did happen after the turn. So GB will be picking up.
Yep. Thompson off the front, trying to jink this way and that. Corcoran doing a really good job of locking it down. And the inside for Ogden a little bit behind. And he put his left hand down, but it wasn't enough.
Very sharp throw.
And I had a few of those against the Barramundas yesterday evening where they got the disc and the D-line unable to even complete a pass.
Yeah, Callum Spears, unfortunate number of turnovers yesterday. Good attempt from Fiquan, number 1.
Interesting to see Kwon on this D-line, I think coming in off that injury stoppage and to maybe give GB's D-line offense a little bit more impetus.
Yeah.
Quadran looks off Itamendi, going wide to Fansale.
It's really interesting to see the variety of physical contact going on between players.
That one, I think Kovshov has the beat on it, and a brilliant layout D from Nicky Kovshov. Gonna feel good for him going against his, his club teammates.
That's right, yeah, he's on the Deep Space roster. Let's see if they can pull it off this time, off the sideline.
Poaching off the front of that stack, and Thompson with the green light to put it deep, and that's my guy right there, Harry Ogden, for the break score.
Brilliant receiver. They're still having trouble getting it off that sideline. The reset cuts back to the middle are closely guarded, but the initial cut up line is just not going very far. It looks like they're taking 2 steps in and then trying to shoulder shimmy their way to the center of the pitch. And it's just not going to work against someone as agile as Ruth Caudron.
Yeah, they don't have that kind of traditional lateral or backward dump set. They've kind of got that front isolated a little bit more. There's the D from Kovshov, and it needed full commitment because otherwise Itamendi was going to make damn sure he was going to have a go at it. But you see, they're just sitting off the front of this a little bit there. Denniston fronting Kwon, and Ogden takes off deep. And the Sussex Hawk flies highest, catching it in front of his defender Hill to get GB's first break of the game.
4-5 is heating up.
It is getting there, isn't it? Timeout here on the field as Deep Space look to steady themselves. What have they got cooked up? We'll find out when the London Invite returns.
We are Hive Ultimate, a group of players and coaches from all over the world working together to progress the next generation of Ultimate strategy. We've helped top teams win world championships and new teams introduce the sport in a fun and inclusive way. Search for Hive Ultimate on YouTube to learn more about our cutting-edge strategies and to see analysis of world-class teams. To find out what Hive can do for your team, head over to our Patreon page where you can gain access to our exclusive drills and session plans and to join our worldwide community of coaches. Get ahead of the curve with Hive Ultimate.
Enjoying the show? Show your support for the live stream and the people making the show. Buy a super chat or super sticker on YouTube directly. Select your donation and type your message to the world. And share. All donations go into directly funding new shows. Buy a super sticker or super chat now. Thank you.
GB Mixed beginning to find their way back into this contest. They dug themselves an almighty early hole. Deep space with a couple of breaks advantage still and a 5-4 scoreline. You've been getting some insider intel there, Nos.
I love to have a chat. I love to learn information, see what's going on in every nook and cranny. Word on the street is that Deep Space are just practicing their systems, playing real vanilla, polishing their baseline game. And it seems to be working.
I was going to say, well, seems to be in fine working order as Denniston just pinged that one into
not.
triple coverage. That one
was triple. They were just hanging out in a little club,
and it
waiting
just,
for it.
from the second it left Denniston's hand, it looked wrong. Bennett trying to find the inside break. Williams powers through underneath.
Let's see if Becky Thompson can. Brilliant.
Yeah, pinpoints the blade down the line from Williams, and GB Mixed. That's back-to-back breaks for them. 3 scores on the spin now, and it took them a little bit of time. And it's actually Helen Thompson.
Oh, my apologies.
Which I must admit, I was like, well, it's a D line, so it'll be Becky. But no, you see, there's Becky in the centre, and it's Helen. No, it is Becky.
Yeah,
so
it is.
The camera must have just picked up the wrong Thompson.
Well, yeah, 16.
Sneaky identical twins.
It would be a really great prank for them to switch numbers at one point.
I was going to say, if I was them, I'd be doing that all the time, but that's because I'm a terrible person. So I would love to have fun with that.
Wow.
It is Becky Thompson, as we thought first time round, catching that for another GB break. It took them a bit of time to warm up, but yeah, they are now making hay in the London sunshine.
Yeah, I think that's the difference with when they gain that confidence back. It's not like the options that they're offering are necessarily threefold better and more confident. They're just trusting their receivers, putting up a good throw, and getting it done.
How is the weather today going to compare to what they might expect on the Gold Coast in September?
I believe the Gold Coast, where I'm not from, is pretty warm in the shoulder seasons.
It's the same country, right? Australia's not that big.
A lot of climates down there. Melbourne's surprisingly similar to the UK, and in the Gold Coast you'll get something more tropical. So it could be rainy, could be humid. Either way, good practice to play in some, I would call these relatively tough conditions. People are coming off the pitch, they're dripping wet. It's really hot on the turf.
Another good pull from GB. That continues to start. Deep space in perilous position. No. Squire's coming up, and again, no fear. Downfield, hopped into the end zone by Potter for the deep space score. They're really good at that. There's no...
That's a 3-pass score.
Yeah, there's no breaths after they catch it. They look downfield. Do we have an option? They're not holding it, and they're getting it out quickly and into space. And again, high stall count.
Yep.
It helps when you have, those big targets downfield who can bring those shots in.
Callum Spears close to the disc, but didn't quite get that D.
And it's a wonderful throw.
Yep.
Straight afterwards from Squires, leading Potter into space. Potter, I think,
Lenton not expecting it.
Yeah, Potter perhaps proving that, maybe I deserve to be on more than just the training squad.
I think Freya probably could have used a little bit of sideline information. I think she definitely wasn't expecting it, could have chased it down, maybe gotten sticky.
Yeah, nice to see some spectators enjoying the festivities here at the Grasshoppers Rugby Club. I know that it seemed like they did a pretty good trade yesterday evening. I think thanks in large part to the Barbarians.
How are the Barbarians are coming out in second seed?
Yeah, they came second in their pool yesterday. They lost to Belgium on Universe, which, by the way, you can watch back on ULTI.TV's YouTube channel. Absolutely ridiculous finish.
Yes, I won't spoil it, but it's well worth a watch.
Oh, it's unreal. And it would not surprise me, that game of the Barbars against Canada is going to be I mean, a real fun one.
Yeah,
Although
that'd
we'll
be
be
great.
streaming the small matter of GB versus Belgium, so, you know, not exactly bad.
And that's popping right up
Yeah, the wind rising.
over all 4 attempted.
Rowe doing enough, I think, just to dissuade it from going into GB hands. Calling the violation so Kwon can collect the bag.
Don't see any hand signals. Not sure what the call is that's being made.
I think it's just a
no
turn.
call, right?
Can Gibson get it off?
Ali Thomas offering a nice reset.
Yeah, they're coming all the way into the backfield.
I believe Ali Thomas has played every role under the sun. They've been a cutter, they've been a handler, they've been on the D line, they've been on the O line.
They'll do whatever is required of them as Tate flips to Archer for a deep space break. Re-establishing a little bit of control in the game.
That felt really safe.
Yeah, I think the decisive move, that backhand down the line there. Looking for Tate, the defender just bit a little too hard into the backfield there, Briggs. Wilson tries to flash in, and peel off to put the force on, but the fake, you know, with that momentum that generated from Wilson trying to get into position there, sends the flow of traffic over there and the pop to Archer for the score.
Yep. It's really, really tough to mark a man like Ian Tate, because he can just pop it over.
Well, it feels like so often the key to letting players like that get into the game is thinking less about them and thinking more about what's going on around them. How can we stop it at source and prevent the disc from being delivered into those sorts of situations?
5-7, that is GB mix once again coming out on O.
Sending the O-line back out there after the break.
They're working hard. They believe in themselves, not giving up just yet.
No, if they give up 2 on the spin, then we have seen the D-line come over both today and yesterday, but with just the one, I think you still have the little bit more belief in that O-line still. Couldn't see whether that landed inbounds, but the fact that haven't seen Briggs signal the break indicate to me that it did, and then bounced out.
Yards.
Thompson wide to Taylor.
Not liking any of the options. Back to the center. Got Josh Briggs. To Agnew.
Thompson now to Agnew. Got the swing to Thompson, so why not take it?
Easy swing, but no continue.
Now Agnew powers up the line. Dishing it off to Briggs and Agnew continuing. Trying to get the one-on-one against Rowe. Rowe face marking a little bit, but Briggs can't find the window. Just going to run it back through
Nice
Thompson
little
instead. I've done that a couple of times, GB. You look for the end zone for a few beats, you don't see it, and then, okay, can we just get that little bounce back for the score?
It's a tough sideline to get off. Just a little bit too jinky there against Rowe. He's a long man, so it doesn't take much for him to mirror your movements and make you look unappealing as an option.
Yeah, I think as well, because where Rowe's position, he doesn't quite have that the handler in his peripherals. I think maybe Agnew, you can even afford to be, well, not completely static, but just doing a little bit less and just letting the thrower lead you to space.
Yeah.
The risk, of course, is the other defenders maybe who do have the eyes there in just flashing into that space and getting a block.
I think GB Mixed prefer a little bit of a safer approach in the end zone. They're willing to be patient, they're willing to swing till they see something they like.
Yeah, but it's nowhere near as fun as just knifing it in there.
I would agree. From this chair, I would agree.
Yeah, I appreciate that no commentator has ever called for, yeah, I want them to be more boring. No one's ever said that. But yeah, I feel like sometimes you do have to chance your arm somewhat.
Beautiful pull from Andy Lewis.
Yeah, he really has been pulling well today. I wonder if this one might be too big. No, again, right from the back of their own end zone. Andy Lewis
Really impressive.
continually pinning deep space in negative field position.
Halkyard, a trigger happy man. Also a married man. Congratulations to him.
Yeah, and his other half, Sarah, on the team as well. Which must be a nice feeling.
Just went through the hand of Max Squires. Didn't
Lewis.
look like it was a ridiculous shot.
No, I think correct option, but maybe just zipped it a bit.
Yep. He's deceptively small, Squires.
Yeah, horizontal start for Great Britain, and Lewis's throw rises, but Lenton steadies herself to catch.
Great
Now
Reese.
Thompson.
That's a fast throw, but Nick Williams takes it confidently.
Wants the reset to Thompson. Happy to lose yards to get it off.
Great break from Thompson. Nice
Yeah.
to see them gain those yards back.
Haven't seen too much of Melvin Tang in this game, and again,
Oh, no.
just going for the reset, and despite Thompson's best effort, they come unstuck. Deep space off the quick pick.
They're not taking anything. It's in the middle. To Ruth Caudron.
And that's half. Deep space with an 8-6 lead, and they will be coming out on offense to begin the second period as well.
Wow.
That is, yeah, maybe about as good as that half could have gone for deep space. Not perfect, but on the grand scheme of things, you know, you're 8-6 up. You've got that mini break coming out of half as well. You know, you force turnovers, and when you have surrendered it, generally you've been pretty good at getting them back. I think they'll be pleased.
I'm sure they are. Will this be their final tournament for Nationals? Yeah, UK Nationals is in 2 weeks' time.
It is in 2 weeks' time, and it caught me a little bit off guard, of course, because so used to having it on that August bank holiday weekend, but the season structure changing around a little bit with the EUCS Tour events, and now that it's no longer EUCR West, it is just UK Nationals.
Yep.
And we've kicked the Irish teams out again, like the quote-unquote good old days.
So Deep Space will be looking to really polish up and get everything in shape.
I mean, they probably will be the firm favourites for that tournament. I think, given the way the season's gone, Lemmings with their elite invite victory, probably, you know, their closest contenders.
Yep. Whereas GB Mixed, on the other hand, their peak will be, I always forget the dates. Is it?
Early September, I
Early
think.
September. So they're still really working the kinks out and getting their team together, solidifying roles. So they're a little bit, or at least I would think they're a little bit less baked than the Deep Space squad is at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think they're both pretty well baked in this weather, but agreed, there is certainly more time for GB Mix to get things organised and together with, you know, September a little bit late for a world event like this, but of course, you know, the fact that it's in Australia means that they do shift those dates slightly, is, you know, you would probably expect.
Yep. I'm glad that they're getting a lot of footage this weekend for Sean and Fee and Cammy to watch back and
Yeah, you
do
can.
some analysis, run some studies.
We spoke to Sean before the game and asked him how much of you, you know, did you get a chance to rewatch last night's game? And he was like, yes, lots.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they would be abundantly aware of, you know, what they did well, but also how they came unstuck in that contest. And they were hoping to set up a rematch with the Barramundis today, but Deep Space are having other ideas. Of course, we don't know that the Barramundis are going to beat.
beat Reading on that other pitch.
No, that is by no means a given, although, you know,
They might have had a big one last night
yeah, the
after their
Australians
9 p.m. finish.
were handy winners yesterday. But yes, you're right, you know, the later finish there, you know, you're going to be later in getting back to your accommodation, and that might disrupt your, you know, your rhythms, your sleep cycles, if you're into that sort of science.
Coming in from halftime, got GB coming out on defense, Deep Space coming out on offense.
This is the telling thing for me. Great Britain, they've generated more turns than Deep Space's O-line, 7 break chances, and they've hit on 2 of them. Deep Space have generated 4 break chances, and they've hit on 4 breaks. So, you know, that's a pretty good conversion ratio of, hang on, let me do the maths. 100%.
Wow, yeah.
I think you take that.
That
And
is
it's not as
very
if it's,
impressive.
you know, 100% on one opportunity, which is still impressive, but you say, could we have done more? No, 4 break chances and 4 breaks.
Their breaks also, they get them off very quickly. It's a nice quick break. They take advantage of the kerfuffle of a turnover, put up those nice floaty passes, get it going.
Excellent use of kerfuffle.
Thank you.
I like that.
Benji.
Benji Reese and Anna Anasovic in the booth.
Great pronunciation of my last name.
Thank you, I try.
I do go by Nos on a daily basis, but maybe I'll take an alias of commentary. I'll go by Anna.
Ooh, keeping it a little bit more.
Yeah, keep
a little
it
bit more formal.
Another great pull. Start the point.
Yeah, Squires Fields on the full in his end zone.
Itamendi heading straight for the deep, but coming back under. Great
GB
option from Halkyard as well.
Yeah, GB switching things a little bit defensively. Trying to be, I think, a bit more proactive in switching.
Indeed.
To present deep space with a different look. The Spaniard Itamendi into the centre. Hawkyard, wow.
Great grab.
Hill really stuck that one. Deep space now trying to reset. Williams just shuffles over on the mark to prevent the break from going, but
Overcommitment on that around.
opens up the inside, now back in his hands.
It's a very loose dump mark.
The throw for Itamendi, a little bit of a riser, but plenty of time to settle himself and catch. Deep space seemed committed to the undergrind this point. Cauldron on the far side.
Not centering. Throwing straight into the arms of Callum Spears.
Yeah, we'll not have many easier Ds this weekend. But he'll count it the same.
Great take from Melvin Tang.
Now they've got some movement downfield. Thompson Tyne on the sideline. Spreading the break across to Spears. He's got time to chase down.
Yep. Losing a lot of yards, but gaining them right back.
Yeah, looking the break side space to Melvin Tang.
Melvin Tang clearing out, making space for William. Nope, that's Bennett.
Yeah, Spears and Bennett, long-time teammates on both Smog and Chevron.
Lovely reset from Ruth.
Bennett to Thompson, gunning it towards that far sideline.
Brilliant.
Ogden and Great Britain starting the second half with a break, exactly what they would have wanted.
Let's have a look at that replay.
GB utilising the width of the field here really well. Thompson really, did not hold back with that one, saw the spot, knew that she would have to fire it in there.
Yeah.
And Ogden's second goal of the game.
Looked like Layla was poaching off Bailey a little bit to try help out, but didn't quite get there. And I think that's what GB have been working on, is not having two of those cuts going in at the same time. So Melvin Tang pulling out was a really nice reaction from her, keeping it clean. If Becky didn't take the upline to Ogden, then Bailey would have been there nice and free, just waiting in the middle of the pitch.
Makes me so happy to see Harry Ogden doing well, coming from the powerhouse, the most successful university in the country, which I may or may not have gone to, the wonderful University of Sussex. I'm not necessarily one who has a lot of pride, but I feel if I have to squeeze that in once in every broadcast, I am more than going to. Playing against, of course, is his teammates while he was a Hawk. Jack and Sarah Hawkyard as well were at Sussex at the same time.
Indeed. They've got that energy to them, the Mohawks and Mohawk alumni.
That was always my role. Was I good at Frisbee? No. But did I try and provide the hype from the sidelines? Yeah. Did I ever turn over at Uni Nationals? No. The number of passes I threw, not important. The important thing is 100% completion ratio that will remain intact forever.
Let's see how this deep space O-line does. We've got 3 female matching handlers back.
It looks like they've crossed their D-line over to play offense, and it has not worked.
Naden not quite able to save it.
Quan picks up to bring GB level.
Not a lot of movement.
Lewis back to Quan. Lenton off the front with the left hand.
It's a little bit too much movement. 2 cutters coming out at once. No reset happening.
Maybe a contact call on the mark there, I think. Because it looked like she thought about calling the foul and then realised we could just reset the stall instead. Didn't need to try and stop any flow that GB were trying to build.
There we go, finally got it back to the middle.
Lovely bounce back there from Lewis.
Thinking about that overhead, it's not going to come.
Archer flashing into the lane.
It's very tight.
Yeah, still quite static in there, and eventually finding Williams towards the back. Looks a little bit frustrated.
It almost looks like there's a call. There is a call.
Yes, certainly the whole thing had an underwhelming bent to it.
Yeah, you never know when there's 7 people standing around. Is it a call? Are they tired?
Both. Yeah, I wonder if they were expecting something to be called there between Archer and Lenton.
I'm not quite sure.
They are going to send it back to Lewis.
Right. Not a lot of hand signals.
Just jam it in there. You know you want to. You can blade that. You can knife that into Kovshov.
I think so too.
Easy. Maybe lead him into that back corner with a thumber. Lovely.
Because while you've got Fequan behind, she's very tightly marked. She's going to have to cut for it if she wants it back.
Still rising. Lewis desperately trying to get it off, but it's tipped on the mark.
Was that Nick Moss?
I think it very well was.
Nick Moss really getting in the thrower's face, putting the pressure on, and making the tight option really uncomfortable. Rowe on the sideline. Back to the centre with Ian Tate. Kate Gibson taking a high one.
Yeah, high throw, but not a problem. Now Moss.
Let's go, Freya.
Looking downfield. Naden beats Freya to the line. And deep space able to repel the advantage and the advances of GB Mixed for 9-7. Again, GB's D-line continuing to be too profligate with the disc. And deep space have got such quality that you give them too many opportunities, they will hit. And boy, does
it's really great
Moss
positioning.
fit down on a potion stamp.
Really great positioning from Naden. Freya is a mighty defender, and if you want to catch that disc, you're going to have to physically stop her from getting it.
I mean, GB on the end zone line, just unable to force their way through. Excellent reset coverage, it has to be said, from the deep space defenders.
Yeah, again, it just looks so cramped and chaotic, and I can imagine, was it Lewis on that cone?
Yeah.
Standing there and just thinking, I'm surrounded by space players, and I've got...
Give me something.
I've got nothing nice. Nothing nice.
Told you should have just knifed it in there.
I'm not upset at all about how that's called dealt with. I think it's fair.
Yeah, it's nice. It's good to have a little stall 9 contingency plan, you know?
The metronomic Hodgett to Pope.
This is another GBO line.
Maybe a little bit of confusion about who's going to take that cutting space.
Yeah.
Hodgett to Briggs.
Beautiful shot. Very controlled.
Utilising the inside to Thompson. That should go to Wilson and does.
Archer almost getting a hand on it. Let's have a look if they can crack this end zone.
Briggs to Thompson. Thompson, Wilson on the poach swing with Archer flashing in the lane in the beginning to recover, and Wilson with the
that
riser.
knife you were asking for.
Yeah, Hodgett sticks the landing and loses his shoe.
That's 8-9.
Yeah, normally we see Hodgett on the throwing rather than on the receiving end, but whatever works.
I guess when you have so many talented receivers and throwers, it's really great to know that anyone can cycle back, and you can clear up field and count on somebody coming back who you can trust with the disc, trust to get free in whatever space they've got.
And then just, again, utilising that break side movement, because the defender, you know, priority is always going to be stopping that open side, because if not, well, I mean, it's a freebie. But if you get the real intentional break side disc, as you saw there, Thompson
Yep.
with the disc in hand, not just kind of looking downfield, but properly squaring up those hips and going almost perpendicular on the mark to access that inside window.
Yeah.
And then Wilson following that up with the score to hodge it.
And it might look a little bit worse in the air, but throwing a flick inside to that break, they're such fast shots and they can be really tough to catch. So a little knife up in the air can actually be appreciated sometimes. Underrated look.
Yeah, when it's still like this as well, certainly there's a bit less peril about it.
Peril, another great word.
Thank you.
The GBD line.
They've been generating turns. You know, deep space started hot, but GB's D-line have given themselves enough opportunities, but I think they're now 3 for 9 on break chances.
Mega pull from Bennett. It might go out the back.
Oh no, it would take the edge, and Cauldron feels it right at the back of our own end zone. Again, GB's pulling on point. There's the deep shot. Taylor trying to track it, and did enough to box out Van Sale.
Really brilliant run from Taylor. She looked up, she slowed down a little bit, realized she wasn't going at the right speed, and then sped right back up.
All set up by the absolutely monster pull that it felt like forced the pressure to go for the early deep shot.
Indeed. But I also believe GB has been really tightening up their defense on the unders and just making those absolutely horrible.
Forcing the deep shot for a lack of anything else.
Yep.
Bennett burrows underneath. Now Spears looking for break to
Beautiful.
Thompson. She's got time, she's got space,
Gorgeous
she's got
disc.
the break. It's 9s.
They're back in it. I think GB Mix just like to be in a bit of a hole at the start.
They like to give themselves, a bit of a cause to rally around potentially, which, look, whatever seems to get you going, right? Just imagine if they could put this on the field for a whole game. Certainly
Yeah.
that, I think, has been the puzzle that Coach Sean Colfer and the leadership are trying to piece together. But, GB's D-line offense like this, it makes you wonder how they're not able to convert on it more consistently.
That's a timeout call, I'm assuming from deep space.
Yeah, it feels like at the moment all the forward momentum's
Yeah.
with Great Britain, so taking a breather makes a lot of sense to me.
I think deep space had such a confident start. They might have let off that gas pedal just a little bit, and GB have really capitalized on it.
So, Great Britain at 9, at Deep Space 9 here in this mixed semi-final at London Invite.
We're not.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch,
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our
our
work
work.
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the ultimate world and beyond.
London Invite mixed semi-final here. GB Mix taking on Deep Space, and they are at loggerheads, level pegging at 9 apiece. Kovshaw falls over.
Itamendi running deep,
Yeah,
but
and-
Williams not far behind.
Yeah, good switch passed off there to recover, because Itamendi is one of the game's very best finishers.
It's a great mark from Lewis. Cauldron looking for options. Given a clean break.
Taking it on to Itamendi. Again, who's continues to be an ever more important part of Deep Space's offense. Lenton, oh, I thought she might have got a piece of that, but it's not enough to prevent it from going to Hawkyard. Yeah, you're right.
Not enough to interrupt the flight path.
Now Tate with deep space mixing up their lines a little bit more.
Nick Williams really keeping Jack Halkyard in check on that reset cut.
Caudron to ground, but she keeps it up.
Kwan on the mark.
Able to get the reset to Squires. Squires putting it out into space for the big man Tate.
Yep.
Have we mentioned he's tall?
His defining feature.
Hawkyard's not exactly small, to be fair, and he's blading all the way across. That's a shot that has brought deep space a lot of success, not just this weekend, but in times gone past as well. And the away shot from Hawkyard spears it into Tate for the score.
Yeah, very, very indoors-esque. Pinpoint. Who's, is that Nikita Kovshov?
Yeah, it's
defending. I was going to say it looked like a presumptuous knee slide, but the angle was just so good coming in that he didn't really have a play on it.
No, I think that's pulling out a little bit just so that I don't, put myself in an awkward position on a landing for a disc I'm not actually really going to have that much of a shot at.
Yeah.
Deep space roster that, retooled in the off-season and in many ways only got stronger, which is a little bit scary when you're the European champion.
Yeah, they find a lot of success being able to leverage their incredibly talented female matching players. But coming up against a team like GB Mixed, who are putting up, I would say, as equally talented female matching players, you can see that they're having to work through the whole roster and really fight for every disc. It's Cat Pope on disc.
Thought she was going to gun it down the sideline, instead leading Hodgett to space. Wilson, everyone flows in that direction and swings to centre. Pope to Taylor, whose impact has been minimised a little bit in this game, but she's got the most incredible work rate and stamina levels that need to be seen to be believed, and one of those players, I think the longer the game goes on, the more you see Taylor, because she's continuing to burn past players deep into contests.
I would like to see them utilise Taylor deep a little bit more. I think that she's her defender is usually terrified of her going deep, and she does go there, but she doesn't seem to be receiving a lot of deep options when she usually comes down with them. She's a great receiver, great at reading discs, great speed. Yeah,
so because it's obviously, when you know that that's such a big aspect of the game, you wonder, are we going to, maybe we use that to open something else, but, sometimes you use the threat of going deep to go deep. Be like, okay, I'm going to take this from you, and I don't think you're going to be able to stop me.
I believe that was an Iceni connection into that end zone, Cat Pope to Eleanor Taylor.
Yeah, I wonder why you mentioned that.
Two of Iceni's core O-line players.
Yeah, Iceni, of course, returning to the top of the UK women's scene last year at Nationals for the first time in about 5 years, which feels very strange to say.
Not quite at the top of this tournament, but when you've got our bedrock of Cat Pope, Eleanor Taylor, Freya Lenton, when they're all playing GB Mixed.
Yeah, you're not at 100% necessarily.
Just missing some of those key hinge players. But we're getting it done.
And it's a good opportunity for other players on the roster to kind of step up into bigger roles.
Indeed. Ruth Caudron on disc. Not liking the options. They're all very hotly contested.
Cancel out quickly, Squires! Bang!
And puts it deep.
Oh,
a little bit too deep. A little bit too fast.
You felt like having come up with, the supreme acrobatics. Squires springs back to his feet. I can barely get my words said. That gunning it to Denniston, you feel like when you play with no fear like that, you want to see it come off, but maybe.
You know what they say about the conservation of greatness.
Yeah, I think maybe his adrenaline got the better of him there. GB to take a lead for the first time this game. Thompson to Agnew, who's come over to the D-line.
Oh, Denniston helping out under.
And Agnew banging it deep, looking for Nick Williams. GB Mixed
Brilliant shot.
on top for the first time, 11-10. This game actually taking a similar shape to their previous contest yesterday, where Deep Space got on top early.
Indeed.
But GB Mixed managed a couple-point victory in the end. Could history be about to repeat itself?
They must be feeling a lot of deja vu right now. Max Squires walking off the point. He does not look very happy.
Well, I think he probably knows now, but if he watches it back, he'll think, did I need to do that?
Oh, you can see. Is that Williams?
It is Williams, yeah, and those two.
He's taking off right. Beautiful spot from the middle of the pitch. Briggs is seeing it. He's cocking the throw, getting ready to put up something really beautiful. And it comes out as he cooked up.
That was a connection that was part of GB's gold medal winning side in the mixed division out at the European Ultimate Championships in Győr in Hungary 5 years ago, the week that I don't think any of us will ever forget for a myriad of reasons.
Were you commentating that tournament?
Oh yes. Thanks, Zoltan.
I have heard a lot of things about
terrible
it.
things. I had a great time, right? Because ultimately, I'm doing the best job in the world with a wonderful team and getting to commentate on some banging Frisbee games. Was it great for a majority of people? Probably not. My view of things is a lot different when I'm working it and being paid to be there, as opposed to people who have taken time off work and paid money to go out there. But
a lot of money.
Yeah, obviously the advantage of doing it in Hungary is that it probably is cheaper than doing it, say, it would have been in the UK. That's another big pull from Great Britain, and somebody needs to get out of the gym.
Tom Bennett overshooting, or did that land in?
No, I think way out the back.
He's actually increasing his pull distance as the game goes on.
I mean, that's the first time really that they have gunned it through, and the number of times that they have pinpointed it right to the back of Deep Space's end zone, you give him the full license, because I think that has been part of the reason for the comeback, is that Deep Space's offense is continually starting, from their own end zone and in back corners, and it means that, you're getting some movement going and you're still there pretty much on your own end zone line.
Yep.
And Squires
brilliant breakside movement
through to Denniston.
Van Zyl in the centre. Back to Denniston.
Denniston to Space.
Halkyard on the sideline with a massive flick.
My word, skyscraping the blade across.
You can see Ali Thomas on the sideline. They are not happy.
Cool underneath it, potentially.
Sean Colfer, not happy. A lot of head shaking on the sideline.
You can see what the plan is there, I think, trying to lead Squires maybe a bit more towards the break side. I think it's Kovshov in the gloves who's the defender.
Yeah.
You'd expect the two of them would be able to keep discussion civil as teammates.
They're getting an opinion from Denniston.
Have a thumb war. Winner gets to keep it. Kovshov's craning back a little bit. I'm not sure I see it necessarily, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't there.
I think this is the right outcome.
Yeah, I always think if you're not sure, call it, especially because if it's going to be a situation like this where it would be a slower start anyway.
Yep.
You can call it, have the discussion, and then if need be, as Squires has, you can retract it.
Andy Lewis absolutely legging it out of the handler space. He doesn't want to be there.
Trying to get things moving from downfield. Bennett.
Brilliant disc from Bennett to the break side. And the continuation breaks Callum Spears.
Yeah, Spears.
Holy moly.
Sending it. Denniston over her head, and Melvin Teng reels it in just after time expires. And for the second time this weekend, GB win 12-10.
Is that game?
Yeah, the hooter literally went just as that disc went up.
They started a little bit late. Still saying 69 on the ULTI.TV clock.
Yeah, our clock is a theoretical clock, I think. But
I think that's a really impressive comeback from GB.
I mean, for them, I'm sure going into this, okay, let's make sure we don't get into the trap we had yesterday. Let's start fast, get into a good advantage. And Deep Space, the position they got themselves in, they must be wondering how they weren't able to take this game, but GB had too much for them in the end, and for the second time this weekend, it's GB 12, Deep Space 10.
That's the exact same scoreline as well, isn't it?
How often do you see that?
Deja vu. I'm glad I actually got to watch this game.
It was
because this was a really fantastic show from both of them.
Yeah, two sides who, you know, feel pretty evenly matched, and you look at the talent on both these sides and you feel that, you know, it should be a good, intense fight.
I think you can see GB really stepping up their defense in the second half and just putting it up a gear.
Yeah, GB's O-line didn't actually turn it over after the interval. Deep Space perfect on their 4-for-4 break chances, but again, just
never got another one.
Towards the end, didn't generate any more of them. Total passes that you can also see in the top left corner. GB Mixed, I think, being forced to work a lot harder because they generated more break chances for themselves, 12 compared to 4. And while they were really struggling to hit those in the first half, their D-line was much more efficient in the interval. So that's something that's big for them to take away from this. 6 for 12 in the end. I think they hit on their last 3 as well. So really tidying things up there, and that'll build them well going into the final against the winner of Reading and the Barramundis, which I believe is just wrapping up over towards my right-hand side. So we'll get you update on that as soon as we can. We're going to move into the Open Division next for a rematch of last year's EUC final, which I'm very, very excited about. GB taking on Belgium. Nos, you enjoyed yourself?
Yeah, this has been great. Thanks so much for having me, Benji.
An absolute pleasure. Anytime you're welcome back here in the ULTI.TV booth.
Oh, thank you. A big shout out to ULTI.TV. We love ULTI.TV and the Ultimate community.
Yeah, like, subscribe, best in the world, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah,
You've seen all the adverts.
Yeah, maybe send some money their way. They keep the sport interesting and accessible to everyone.
You're too kind.
I think it's really important. I think it's really, really important for the sport to have that visibility.
And it's been great to be able to, you know, come to tournaments like the London Invite and show you some of the top quality Ultimate here on show. Final score then in the mixed division is GB Mixed 12, Deep Space 10. We'll see GB in the final later today. And for all of our ULTI.TV crew and Nos alongside me, Benji Reese, we'll see you on the other side.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, Milan. I mean, Ultimate.
ULTI.TV.